Hello. Hold on. So, if you're really paying attention, and I don't think many of you are, not trying to guilt you, but you'll notice I missed a couple days. I was moving. I'm back now. And today we're talking about Harrison Barnes and the 2014-15 Golden State Warriors. Warrior 38, Harrison Barnes. And Harrison Barnes spent 47 minutes and 59 seconds in this particular game, barely touching the game. The very last second, he owed the whole thing. It's April 2nd, 2015, and the Warriors are already past the point where good season explains anything. They're 61-13. They've already locked up the West top seed, and Oracle's starting to feel less like an arena, more like a machine that eats visiting teams. Phoenix, they're on the other side of that. They're at 38-37, still technically alive, but the word technically is doing a lot of work there. They're chasing the last playoff spot. They're banged up. They're desperate. And desperation can make a team annoying for one night. So Golden State doesn't need this game the way that Phoenix needs it. That's part of the trap. Steve Kerr is trying to do the late season balancing act. Keep guys sharp. Don't burn them out. Don't get somebody hurt in a game that barely changes your bracket. Draymond Green is sitting again to rest his shin bones. That bench is going to get real minutes. The Warriors, they're in that weird championship contender space where the regular season is still happening, but the real exam, you can already see it in the distance. Harrison Barnes at this exact moment is still an unfinished sentence. Barnes grew up in Ames, Iowa. Before he was a Warrior, before he was the quiet fourth option, before he was the guy in the corner spacing the floor for Steph, he was supposed to be the guy. Barnes was a monster recruit, the clean-cut future star. He was the kid with the polished jumper and the NBA body, while everybody else still looked like they had algebra homework. He went to North Carolina with all the heat that comes with being a national name before you've even played one college game. At UNC, he was good. Sometimes he was very good. But that's the funny thing about hype. If you're projected as a savior and you become only a strong college player and a top 10 pick, people can act like you failed. Barnes went 7th to Golden State in 2012, and that ended up being one of those draft nights that quietly changes the franchise. Golden State got Barnes, Festus Ezell, and Draymond Green in the same draft. Not bad. That's how you go from cute little playoff team to a problem that nobody knows how to solve. As a rookie, Barnes started for a Warriors team that upset Denver and scared San Antonio. Then Andre Iguodala arrived, and Barnes became the sixth man. Then Kerr arrived, and Iguodala went to the bench. Barnes went back into the starting lineup. And Barnes wasn't asked to be a star. He was asked to be long, steady, switchable, and ready. Run the floor, hit the corner threes, guard the wings. Don't always need the ball, and don't complain. That's a harder job than people think when you spent your whole life being treated like the main event, like Barnes was. And here's the thing about Barnes. His reputation always runs a little bit hotter than his actual game. People either wanted him to be a star or they wanted to call him disappointing for not becoming one. But on this Warriors team, the right version of Harrison Barnes wasn't loud. The right version was a bridge. He connected lineups. He made small ball possible. He let Golden State play fast without getting too tiny. In a league that was about to change, he was one of the body types that helped push it there. Phoenix opens like a team that knows the season is sliding off the table. The Suns, they jump ahead 10-4 early, but Andrew Bogut wakes Golden State up. Bogut's one of the secret hinges of this whole era. Everybody remembers the threes, the chaos, the joy. Bogut is the giant setting screens, passing from the high post, and making people think twice before driving. He helps flip the first quarter, and Golden State leads 27-22 after one. By halftime, it's 55-44 Warriors. And this looks like one of those games where Golden State messes around for a little while and then still wins by 14. That's a whole genre in 2015. You'd watch the other team hang around, then Curry hits 2 threes, Clay starts to get loose, Oracle starts vibrating. Suddenly, the opponent looks like it misplaced its car keys. To their credit, though, Phoenix doesn't go away. They start the third quarter with a push. And here's where the game gets sticky. Eric Bledsoe, he's strong enough to bother Golden State guards. Markieff Morris and Brandon Wright, they're giving Phoenix real front court minutes. TJ Warren starts squeezing into the soft spots. The Warriors, they're experimenting with lineups, and Phoenix is playing like a team trying to keep the season breathing through a straw, like a coffee straw. Golden State has control, but it's not clean. It's one of those games where the better team keeps waiting for the worst team to understand the assignment and leave. But Phoenix refuses. By the fourth, this thing is officially dumb. This is where the story becomes about Steph Curry, right? Not tonight. Steph is still Steph, of course. He finishes with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. He absolutely hits the kind of shots that make you question whether physics has a favorite child. Klay Thompson's there too, making the extra pass, hitting a huge three, doing Klay stuff with that blank expression like he just got out of a dentist appointment. But this thing is not remembered because Steph did Steph things. It's remembered because Harrison Barnes, after doing almost nothing all night, gets handed the last swing. The final minute, pure nonsense. PJ Tucker gives Phoenix a 104-102 lead with a reverse layup. Golden State comes down, Curry misses, Bogut tips, Barnes misses, Bogut somehow grabs another offensive rebound. The ball finds Klay. Klay finds Curry. Curry's open in the corner. It's usually the basketball equivalent of someone leaving their wallet on the park bench. Warriors up 105-104, 6.8 seconds remaining. And frankly, that should be the ending. That's the nice, clean version. MVP hits the dagger. The crowd goes wild. Warriors survive. Roll the credits. But Eric Bledsoe comes right back, snakes to the rim, and lays it in with 4.5 seconds left. Phoenix leads 106-105. Barnes was part of the defensive breakdown. He knows it. Kerr knows it. Everybody knows it. So now Golden State needs one shot. The play brings Barnes off the baseline. Curry and Klay are stationed up top. They're not even touching the ball, and they're still the most important people in the building. Their gravity opens the lane, and Barnes catches, drives from the wing, takes the bump, gathers, and flips in a 5-foot runner with 0.4 seconds left. And that's the whole game. 4 points for Barnes, 2 made shots. One of them goes straight into the memory bank. Afterward, Barnes joked that Kerr looked at him like, yeah, you messed up those defensive possessions, but fine, we'll take it. Barnes also admitted the moment got his blood going. That's the perfect Harrison Barnes quote because it's not chest thumping. It's not fake hero stuff. It's a guy who knows he almost helped lose the game, and he got one chance to fix it. Kerr didn't pretend the Warriors were perfect. He basically said Phoenix probably outplayed them and probably deserved it, but Golden State had fearless guys late. That's the 2015 Warriors in one sentence. They weren't just talented. They were rude. You could play well for 47 minutes, and they'd still steal your watch at the very end. For Phoenix, this is a brutal little season obituary. Brandon Wright said they were hanging by a small thread, and that's exactly what it felt like. The Suns had fight. They had athletes. They had enough shot making to scare Golden State in its own building, but they didn't have enough season left. They finished 39-43, missed the playoffs, and this became one more close loss in a year full of drift. Goran Dragic had already been traded. Brandon Knight was hurt. The roster changed shape too many times, and by April, they were still competitive, but the foundation was wobbly. Golden State, meanwhile, used this as another tiny test before the real thing. The Warriors finished 67-15, the best record in the NBA. Curry, he won MVP. Kerr set the rookie coach wins record. They swept New Orleans, survived Memphis, handled Houston, and then met LeBron James in the finals. Down 2-1 to Cleveland, Kerr moved Iguodala into the starting lineup, slid Draymond to center, and the Warriors found the version of themselves that could bend the league. They won in 6 games. First championship in 40 years. Andre Iguodala got Finals MVP. Barnes was part of the closing shape of that team, the wing who could survive in that small lineup and keep the floor spaced out. Barnes stayed for the 73-win season, and that's where his Warriors story gets complicated. He was still useful, still durable, and still part of the machine. But the 2016 finals made him a symbol of the collapse. Harsh? Yeah, sports are harsh. Golden State lost the 3-1 lead. Barnes missed too many open looks. And when KD became available, the math wasn't sentimental. Barnes went to Dallas on a huge contract and got the chance to be a featured scorer. He averaged real points, carried real usage, and found out what life looks like after you're no longer living in Steph Curry's orbit. Then came Sacramento. Barnes became a pro's pro there, a steady forward through a franchise, trying to remember how winning worked. He was part of that light the beam team that finally dragged the Kings back into the playoffs. Later, he moved to San Antonio, where the job changed again. Veteran, spacer, the grown-up in the room, someone who's seen what a real contender looks like from inside. And that's the shape of his career. He wasn't the superstar that people imagined when he was 17 years old. He turned into something different. He was long, useful, adaptable, a champion, a guy who played forever because coaches trusted him. Next up, we leave the Bay and head to Houston for Astro 63. Michael Brantley, September 5th, 2019. And if this Barnes game was about doing almost nothing until the last second, Brantley's night about waiting in 13 innings to finish a comeback that had no business still being alive. Astros Mariners, 7-run hole. Then Uncle Mike walks everyone home. So that was Warrior 38, Harrison Barnes, April 2nd, 2015. 4 points, 1 shot. One more Warriors win in a season that kept looking inevitable until it somehow became historic. Sometimes the hero isn't the guy with the biggest line. Sometimes he's the guy who spends the whole night almost invisible, makes the mistake, gets the ball anyway, and says, fine, I'll clean it up myself. Well, if you're still here, thanks for watching. We'll pick it up again next time, and bye.